Hello, this is Brian Boteler from the Gospel Rescue Mission, welcoming you to another one of our podcasts, another one of our videos, however you might be watching this or hearing this program, and we're just glad that you're here for the ride. So, wanted to talk about something that we've talked about before, which is 3 categories of homeless population within the homeless community around our areas, in our parks, in our streets. The first category is a group that we're dealing with already at the Gospel Rescue Mission, and that's a group that we are able to leave homelessness, able to leave it, want to leave it. They're mentally and physically capable of doing so. These are the people that I think make great Gospel Rescue Mission candidates, and with whom we do a really great job already at helping them get back and reintegrate into society. There's another group that is hard to acknowledge that they're there sometimes. It's the group that really just, they're able to leave homelessness, they're capable of doing it, but they don't want to. There's too many free things, there's too many free drugs, there's too much irresponsibility to leave behind, and those guys, we're going to have to figure out what to do with them through our law enforcement and city councils and all that kind of stuff. But there's a third type of homeless person, and that type is somebody who is incapable of leaving homelessness for a variety of reasons. One might be because they just require assisted living, really. What they need is medically assisted living. They need constant monitoring and somebody to constantly check in on them. That's a place that we need to figure out how to get them into those medically assisted facilities and fund that. Another group would be those who are just too mentally broken. What they really need to do is have their power of attorney removed from them, and they need to be cared for in some kind of an institution where they're just looked after and made to do well for the rest of their days. But there's a third group in this group that I think that we have an opportunity to do some real good in, and that's those who are homeless, but they're there because really their finances haven't kept up with the cost of living, particularly with regard to the housing market. And so for many of them, they're on a low fixed income. They're unable to compete in the job market around them. They're not going to raise their quality of income to match the competitive market of our housing and all the other things that go along with that. And that's exactly who I think we have an opportunity to address and help through a project called MissionView Village. Now, if you haven't heard about MissionView Village, we have already got a great little video clip for you, a little podcast. Listen along and check this out. This is about MissionView Village. Consider a story that is happening every day in our community. A woman on Social Security lives alone with her dog in her car on our streets. Because she earns far less than the going rate for rent, she has nowhere else to go. Her age and her health prevent her from acquiring a job that would boost her into a better income bracket, not to mention how hard it would be on her dog to be left in the car for long hours at a time. Twice in the last year, she's been assaulted and robbed when she attempted to use a public restroom at a local park. As you would imagine, she's afraid to sleep, afraid to leave her car, afraid for her dog, and has become afraid of the encroaching reality that she cannot keep up this way of life for very long. Unfortunately, her story is not unique, as she and many like her are facing changing social and economic conditions that were impossible to predict or prepare for with a fixed income. Like so many of the aging population in our community, they are facing a crisis to survive. What if there was a different solution? MissionView Village just may be the solution they're looking for. The concept of MissionView is a village of tiny homes designed around a program intended to help those on a fixed income live in a secure and safe community, develop a small but real savings, and have a genuine sense of independence. Our target clientele are adult citizens 55 years and older of Grants Pass on a fixed income with vehicles who are experiencing homelessness as a result of their low monthly income. They must be in good enough health physically to not require a medically assisted living environment, but they may receive in-home health care. Residents of the MissionView Village will receive monthly visits with mission staff to ensure that they're managing their finances and developing a small savings, keeping up with necessary medical appointments, and participating in community events. These are intended to give each member a voice in their village, as well as empower them with the choices that come with a financial future. We are still in the getting the concept to paper phase, but our hope is that if we could raise the funds to expedite this project quickly, we could provide a model for future projects that would require creative land use ideas. As our plans become more definitive beyond the feasibility stage, we will invite you to become a part of the process, including help us choose which construction designs best fit our clientele and our greater neighborhood here on Foundry Street. In order to move this project forward, we will truly need your prayers and financial support. Together, we can do great things. So now that you've had a chance to see what we're talking about and what MissionView Village is all about, I am here in the studio with our very own Bobby Galley and Monica Conley, and our men's coordinator, our women's coordinator, and we're going to talk about some of their experiences with people that are in this age bracket and income bracket, and just kind of talk about, how would a program like MissionView Village be helpful to our own population that we sometimes get in the Gospel Rescue Mission? And we've been working at this for a long time and gotten to see that. There's the American Society on Aging says this. They say that homelessness among older adults is increasing. Among single homeless adults, approximately half are ages 50 and over. Of these, almost half first become homeless after the age of 50. What are you seeing as far as, I know our regular age bracket, our average age is right around 41, 42 years old on average for what we see in the mission. What do you do with that 58-year-old somebody who's really nice, who's not really strung out on drugs or alcohol, but they need some help? Tell me, have you run into that, Monica?
I have.
Yeah.
Often. Actually, the majority of the women that I have in the mission currently are 50 and over.
Yeah.
My oldest is in her 70s.
Yeah.
And she's worked her whole life, and she's got her retirement income, and she's been looking for housing, but she can't afford what's out there.
Right. A whopping retirement income of what? Roughly.
I would say about $1,300 a month.
$1,300 a month. Do you think you can get into a house at $1,300 a month in our market right now? What do you think the average? Just a guess on what the average rental price is for a 2-bedroom.
Well, I haven't looked at many 2-bedrooms, but I have been helping her look at 1-bedrooms, and I've seen a lot of 1-bedrooms for $1,200.
Right. So for 90% of her income,
she can get an apartment on her own.
As long as she doesn't want to eat.
As long as she doesn't want electricity.
Or electricity. Or to flush the toilet.
Yeah. And she doesn't get food stamps.
Right. She's outside of the bracket.
She's outside of the bracket.
SNAP. Right.
Yep.
Wow.
So she doesn't get food stamps. So everything is out of her own pocket. We were just talking today, and we currently have her saving money, and she's got some dental stuff that she needs to have done, but it's all going to come out of her pocket because
she can't afford insurance.
She can't afford. Well, she's got Medicare Advantage.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cover near as much.
Yeah.
As what you would hope it would.
Right. Right. I'm imagining that there are people listening to this or watching right now that are going, "Amen." Because they're in that same spot, right. Maybe, and maybe they can afford it, but still, you say you can afford it. what does that mean? I mean, that still hurts, right? You know,
Right.
a good chunk of dental work can cost a lot of money,
Yeah.
right? Bobby, you've had some older guys coming through. I mean, I remember a guy just recently that he's reminding me every time he asked me to help him up the stairs, the 3 steps to get into our door. I'm 80. By the way, I'm 80. You know, can you hold my walker for me? I'm 80. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge because rental places want you to have 2.5 times the amount of income. And so most of these guys that are in that, you know, $800 to $1,400 range,
Yeah.
you know, they can afford a $300 or $400 apartment according to that model.
Yeah.
And those just don't exist.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen people that were renting. I've had residents here that came here because they got kicked out of the garage that they were sleeping in, that had no heat, that it was just a place to crash, and they were paying $600 a month just kind of under the table to some guy to let them sleep in a garage
Yeah.
with a sleeping bag and maybe a light. Maybe.
There's a house just a couple blocks up from us that I've watched them renovate over the last few months, and I was thinking somewhere I had got it in my mind that it was going to be like rent a room, low income. And so I looked into it when it was finished. I want to say it's like $1,400 for a room.
Wow.
At this place. It's just, it seems pretty hopeless for individuals who, like you said, their income is not going to improve. My gal, she's in her 70s. She's worked her whole life.
Why didn't she just get out and get a job? What's the matter with her?
I mean, she could, and she tried.
Yeah.
She tried, but she's 70. There's not a lot that she can do.
Right. You know, you got a 20-something, you know, not long out of high school and everything like that, you know, can stock shelves and can be on their feet for an 8-hour shift, and it's no big deal for them. The older adult that, you know, has a great mind still, fantastic personality, but just can't stand for that long and needs breaks. You know, it just can't do it. Their feet hurt too bad, you know, to be up that long. And even if they got hired for the 4 hours that they can stand, well, that's only 4 hours worth of income. And again, I got to compete against you know, a young family that's trying to move into a house or an apartment.
Right.
Whew. It's really crazy. That same American Society on Aging, they say people 65 and older are the fastest growing age group of people who are homeless. By 2030, their numbers will triple. While homelessness is devastating for all, older adults face additional risks and harm from the experience. What kind of things are older adults struggling with that are coming in to the Gospel Rescue Mission?
I mean, I think a big part of it is safety on the streets. You know, they're an easy mark because they're older, they're maybe a little frailer, you know, less prone to, you know, they're more prone to flight than fight. Yeah. And so, you know, their stuff can get ransacked repeatedly, and there's nothing that they can really do about it in the parks, in those situations.
Yeah.
Or to just give in, right? If you have somebody who's stronger than you that wants your stuff and tells you you're going to give me that, it's easier to just give it to them to keep themselves safe. So it's not even, they're not always fighting back, but they don't feel like they can say no. They have no way to save themselves except to just, here, take it.
And if all they're getting taken from them is their physical goods.
And that's not all they're getting taken from them.
Right. I mean, that's just saying they got off lucky.
Yeah.
If that's, you know, and they know it and feel blessed by that in a sense. You know, how I'm blessed that they only stole everything I have.
Right. I've had a couple
they didn't do worse.
Right. I've had a couple of older women that have come in that did have more taken from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're talking being physically assaulted,
Yes.
sexually assaulted, the kinds of things that are being done on the streets of our good little community here in Grants Pass, and it's a good community. I mean, we've got a lot of good people here and everything like that. But these things happen not in broad daylight.
Right.
You know, this place, you know, is crazy after dark, and this is happening in our parks, in our public restrooms, and in, you know, public places, and it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Mm-hmm. I remember it was the year before last when Shauna was working here, and she was working with a gal that kept getting her. We couldn't figure out, why are you not saving money, and she had these guys that were texting her, mm-hmm. and then asking her to help them by buying like Google cards or something like that, some kind of gift card at the grocery store, $500 a piece, and then just calling and giving them the numbers on it, you know, and she was convinced she was helping them.
Yeah.
And so she was just giving them money, and we kept trying to stop it. We called the police. We got all kinds of things involved, and they were just like, yeah, if she keeps doing it, you can't really stop her. We have no ability to stop her. And so you start wondering, okay, where is that line where, you know, can somebody enforce a line somewhere, you know, that makes this thing stop? I think that's just kind of the challenge. I mean, this is a very vulnerable community.
Yeah.
So MissionView Village, the idea that we had, you know, we've been working on this since, I don't know, April or May or something. We've been working around this idea, and it's been cooking in our slow cooker for a while here as we've looked at. We went up to Eugene, and Bobby, you were with me on that, and Eric was with me on that as we went up to Eugene to look at the Emerald Village up there. What did you think of Emerald Village as we went through and just kind of looked around?
I mean, I thought it was a very good program. They had basically every individual that lived there had buy-in in the facility itself, as far as they had, a committee that they were on and a part of to help make the place better. Okay. And so, yep. They had to pay their rent, which I think was like a third of their.
It was like $300. It was between $300 and $400 a month, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and but in the same way, they were held kind of responsible and accountable for cleanliness and those type of things. And they had the group cook area, which was very clean and nice and kept that way by the residents.
Yeah.
And so that aspect, it was very good.
Yeah. I would say they were doing the things that we at the mission here just kind of call chores, which is what you and I call them in our houses at home anyways, right? Mm-hmm. We make them partake in just keeping the place clean. And that was really good. What were some of the things do you remember anything that you thought stood out as far as like, boy, if we were to do something like this, I would change this?
I think they had the actual kind of like a rental agreement to where if they brought somebody in that was not a good fit, whether it was drugs or, hostility, the lady shared that it took 6 months, almost a year to get them out. Meanwhile, everybody else is kind of nervous, walking on eggshells, wondering, if anything was going to happen. And so
they had to come up with the funds for an attorney to get all that happening, right?
Yeah, and so that aspect, it almost created an unsafe environment for everybody else.
Yeah.
By no fault of their own, it was just somebody kind of slipped through the screening cracks and became a big problem for a long time.
You know, and it's, you guys do screening. I mean, and really, how many people have you had that, I mean, it's easy to get somebody slipping through the screening cracks, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Often.
You know, isn't that the kind of the where we suddenly become aware of, oh no, here's an elderly person that doesn't meet our program requirements, but they interviewed well, and we didn't really understand that they didn't meet our interview requirements, or, you know, our intake requirements until they were kind of already in.
Yeah.
And so now that they're in, you know, we're not just harsh and go, hey, kick you to the curb. We are just like, okay, now we've got to find a place for you. But sometimes those are the people that can end up staying here for the longest period of time, right?
Yeah. Like when I first started,
Yeah.
I inherited a gentleman
Yeah.
that was our doorman.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he was a very nice guy, very sweet guy, you know, did whatever he could, but he was older and he had some physical
Limitations and stuff.
limitations that made him not a good fit for the program. And in the same way, he was on the fixed income. We would try to get him into the disabled, you know, elderly and disabled housing, but because he's been living here on the fixed income, not spending money, saving money with only the $100 food fee, you know, he had a significant amount of savings, which eliminated him from that.
Qualifying from the program.
Yeah, qualifying from the program.
Right.
And so then we had to try to figure out how to make that work when he was well qualified for that type of housing.
If you'd never let him through the doors, he would have probably qualified.
Yeah.
And that same guy also got, like, during his stay, got taken advantage of one time, where they basically he had money in his savings and decided that he was going to solve a problem for a local church and write off all of his savings to them to help solve their problem. The church not realizing, hey, this is all this guy has, and part of his qualification to stay here is he needs to be increasing savings. And so we did this big dilemma. And again, it's not necessarily that everybody that victimizes these people do so even intentionally, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, and so they're not trying to hurt this guy. They just a series of events, and he still has his own power of attorney. He can spend his money any way he wants. Nobody can stop him except for, unless you could leverage his housing against it and say, you can't stay if you're going to do that, you know, or whatever. But at that point in time, you need to kind of consider, does he still qualify to manage his own power of attorney? At some point in time, somebody needs to go, maybe what he needs is a rep payee, and figure all that out. And this is the other dilemma with Social Security. So let's say somebody has Social Security, you know, income of some kind, or disability income of some kind. You're only allowed to have so much in savings before they stop the payments to you. So, and I think it's a small amount. It's something like $2,000.
It's $2,000.
So somebody is saving money to try to get first and last in a deposit or something like that, and everything. But the minute that they save the money and qualify, they lose the income. So there's all these bizarre catch-22s that you're just trying to constantly solve. And the catch-22s are often they're part of the government help program, but government help programs often aren't as helpful as they'd like them to be, you know. And so
a lot of hoops to jump through.
There really is. And you're talking about somebody who might be having a hard time. They're starting to have a hard time remembering the details of things anyways. And so they're, oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry, I wrote the check, or sorry, whatever. And now they got to re-up their program. It just becomes complicated and difficult. So the Gospel Rescue Mission, so we have sat down, we're talking about, you know, this idea of a tiny home village, and the idea of, well, what if we just had something that doesn't we're not worried about government, hoops to jump through. What if we just say, hey, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a $350, $400 a month rent. It's not even really a rent. It's a program fee. You're part of a program. You're going to pay to be in this program. And as long as you pay to be in this program every month, and as long as you keep your end of the contract every month, well, guess what? You can stay here for the rest of your life, potentially, as long as you are physically able.
Yeah.
I think that could solve a lot of problems. And then if I have coordinators, trained coordinators who are used to managing people, that can start going, okay, bring me your finances every month. Let me look at them. Let me make sure that you're actually saving money and not just getting taken advantage of. We see this a lot even with people helping their children, right? I mean, kids that are, strung out on the streets or whatever, but they keep hitting up mom, and mom keeps giving out,
everything she has.
Everything she has.
Even though she's been told,
yeah,
you got to save money. You can't keep doing that.
Because she's doing like a mom would do.
Yeah.
I'll give up my life for yours. She's doing this thing that is noble on one end, and at the same time we're going, yeah, you know what though, your child's an adult, and you need to start saving and taking care of you. They should be taking care of you by now, but they're not because our society's upside down, right? So, well,
to go back to our original example there, the doorman, he would probably still be here if, a family didn't take it upon themselves to make a room in their house, set up a bathroom, wheelchair walker accessible, facilities. And
just out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, out of the goodness of their heart, because they're not making a ton of money on it. They're not getting rich off it. That's for sure.
Yep.
But if they wouldn't have, had that compassion and opened up their home to him, he might still very well be here.
Right.
And because I hadn't come up with a rock solid solution.
The solution came to you.
Yeah.
On this, yeah.
We were going to go through another round with the Senior and Disability Services. I think we had all the boxes to look right.
Right.
But there was no guarantee, because with this guy, he couldn't walk, but he could do a little shuffle.
Yeah.
And
kind of like he was trotting.
Yeah. And so, but to just walk, that wasn't easy for him. It would take him, several minutes to go, 10 or 12 steps.
Yeah.
But if he kind of got into a little rhythm of a trot, he would do okay. And so the one time he happened to be coming back from the store as the guy came up, and he trotted across the street, and that disqualified him right there.
Like, look, he's in great shape. Look at him
he's
running
like,
around.
He's moving around good.
Yeah,
and so there's things like that we kept running into to try to get this guy help, whether it was the finances or the trotting. And it was, like I said, he might still very well be here if it wasn't for that individuals. And those individuals are very few and far between, and, can't be, that's not the answer, when we have probably 15 to 20% of our residents fall in this category.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's really tragic that you feel like the other service agencies that you would think are geared to deal with this population, you feel like you're almost doing something deceptive to demonstrate that they qualify. And we're Christians. We're not into deceiving anybody about anything, but it's crazy that you feel like you have to go to that extent just to try to compel somebody to consider, hey, this guy meets the criteria, and so again, it's like, well, what if there was a different way? What if
Yeah.
there was another way? And I think that this is, we're at a great time and a great opportunity. I mean, Monica, how long have you been with us now?
2 years.
2 years. You've been on staff. You've been with us for a long time.
A long time before that,
you've
but
been
on
us
staff.
with heart and mind for a long time. But 2 years. In 2 years, how many ladies do you think you've seen that would potentially qualify for a thing like a MissionView Village?
In 2 years,
Yeah.
at least 10.
Yeah.
At least 10
I
that
agree.
would be solid residents
Yeah.
for over there that would be absolutely appropriate.
Yeah.
Without any
Yeah. Yeah.
of the slipping through the cracks
Yeah.
things. So at least 10.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree. And Bobby, you have any idea? Probably
I
about the
would-
same in just a short time you've been here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I have 5 or 6 in the house right now that
Yeah.
would be good candidates.
Mm-hmm.
And through All Care, they opened up the Ferguson house,
Mm-hmm.
and between Monica and I, we
Evan House.
Evan
Evan's
House.
Yeah.
Evan House. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, Ferguson is the
Sober living.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Evans house, and between Monica and I, we had that place filled.
On the first day.
Yeah, and I have I think 3 guys that are already on the waiting list.
Yeah.
There, because it would be a similar situation,
Yeah.
affordable rent for seniors that are able to function on their own for the most part.
Yeah.
But just financially aren't in a spot where they can afford $1,000 a month or $800 a month, even if they got a real cheap place.
Yeah.
Right.
Even just renting a room in most places are $700 to $900
For a room.
Yeah, just
With
to
a
rent
shared
a
bathroom
room.
and a shared kitchen and everything like that, if you're
Yeah.
even allowed to use those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you're in a point where
Yeah.
there's several of those situations is they've rented a room, they put down a big deposit and stuff, and then they get immediately kicked out for one reason or another, and then there goes $3,000 that they've sunk into the place, and the people are just like, what are you going to do?
Right. Again, victimized
Yeah.
in victimized with the best of intentions.
Yeah.
So the thing I like about MissionView Village concept, the MissionView Village concept is that we've got this opportunity to think creatively about just land use, about what could we do if we just change some of our rules and regulations on what you can do in a place, and can you make a model? I got to see Doug Walker do Foundry Village and walk through Foundry Village when it was done. And when he first started doing it, I tell you, I saw a garden shed on a flatbed trailer, and raise money for Foundry Village, and I thought, no, that's a garden shed you might put your dog in, your outside dog or whatever, in something like that. But that's not what you put a human in and everything. But what Doug built at Foundry Village is really well done. And it's just tiny bedrooms that share a kind of a communal living space and bathrooms and everything. It really was marvelously done. And in fact, I've reached out to Doug because I'd like to have him be a consultant on this project as well. The guy did genius work, and it really looks nice. And again, we're not solving the entire homeless problem, but what we're doing is saying, here's a way that you could take a chunk of them that are confusing everybody about how do we solve the problem of homelessness. When the minute you try and deal with the problem of homelessness, you're going to talk about the drug addict, and somebody is going to tell you, well, they're not all drug addicts. Yes, I know they're not all drug addicts. Some of them have mental illness. Yes, I know some of them have mental illness. And so then you go, okay, but let's deal with the mental illness people. Well, they're not all mentally ill. Some of them are drug addicts, So, it's always this moving
Chasing
target and
Yeah.
everything, and so how do you fix the moving target? Well, what you do is you hone in on something that you can do. Let's find
Right.
something that we can do,
Right.
and let's do it and build it right. And I really think, again, I think the Gospel Rescue Mission is this great example of what you can do right. I think MissionView Village is a nice addition to the Gospel Rescue Mission package of what we can do and what we can do really well. We can do it without government funds, without tax dollars of any kind. And here's the cool thing. Right now, if this is the first time that you're hearing about this, as you're watching us or listening, is right now, for this project, I've got a matching grant. So basically, I've got a commitment from an anonymous donor that said this: I will match everything that you can raise to that up to half the cost of the whole project. So I only have to raise the funds for half of the project to get the whole project paid for. Yeah. I mean, that is amazing. Yeah. That means, if somebody goes, man, all I have is $5. Okay, well, what you have is 10. So a gift of $5 is $10. A gift of $20 is $40. $100 is $200. Thousands, $2,000, $10,000, whatever. $100,000 is a $200,000 gift. And these people, we were like, well, you realize we could be talking at over $1 million, right? And they're like, yep. Let's just get her done. Let's get this thing done. We believe in you. We believe in what you do. We believe in, we've seen the results of your team. We've seen you over the years. I mean, this is our 40th year as a Gospel Rescue Mission. We've got a long track record of doing this thing right and having some great results. Monica, you had this year, half of the ladies who've come into your program have left with a sustainable income in a home. Half. 1 out of 2 people that walk in your doors leave with a sustainable income in a home. That is a number that we've never seen anything like that at the Gospel Rescue Mission. That is how good it gets when we're able to really knuckle down and do the job that we do well. And we're able to hold people accountable to a program, and that's why the beauty of a program. The beauty of a program is you can say, hey, you get this in trade for your commitment to follow through with this program rules. And if you do it, we'll get you to a good end goal. And our end goal would be things like, golly, I want you to be able to have some savings. I'd love to have you have an estate of some kind, something. If you raise if you save up $10,000 in your of your meager income that you have, well, you know what? When you die, you have something you can give to your children. And you can go, hey, Grandpa didn't do everything right, but he for some way, he was able to save and survive and save some money. And there was a nice little gift to help his grandson or his granddaughter get into college or buy a car or whatever, right. Or just pay for his own funeral and didn't cost his whole family, whatever. I mean, it could be a beautiful thing.
I think that the things that we here at the mission give to our current residents is a sense of dignity, integrity, purpose, and independence. And those are 4 things that we can give to our seniors who are homeless in the community that we would be able to get into MissionView Village. They would get those same things. And that's really, I mean, you think about our older population, and don't they deserve that?
Yeah.
Don't they deserve that?
Yeah, they sure do. It's and the other thing that we give on top of all of those things is we give community. I mean, how many of our people that have graduated from here are still your friends and mine?
And they come back and visit us at the mission.
We go hang out with them at church, and all that stuff. And they come by, we see them across town. We have them over to our house for barbecues or whatever we're doing. We meet at potlucks together. We do things together still because, I mean, I was thinking of Aaron Powell, who graduated from the mission and I saw him at the trunk or treat over at the Pursuit. He's out there. He's the popcorn guy, and he was out there giving out bags of popcorn. I went, Aaron, how you doing? I said, you're the popcorn guy, and he says, my second year in a row, and everything. He was so proud of that, and I'm looking and just going, what a great thing, man, to be a part of a community of people that just share and love and help you, feel like you still have purpose and meaning in your life, because you do. And it's not just trying to add a false sense of community. I mean, it's just genuine community.
Yeah.
We care for each other and stuff. So part of this program will include things like church attendance and will include community involvement. I mean, we happen to have on this block, two fantastic Christian ministries that they could be involved in, whether it's helping out in our garden here, volunteering, around the mission, or one of our thrift stores, just keeping busy, or we could do it over at the Rock Food Pantry, handing out food and different things like that. Or just other things that might need to be done in our community, ways to contribute and plug in, like a downtown, Halloween thing like that River Valley does in downtown Grants Pass, or a trunk or treat at their church, or whatever else they're doing. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and it's a great ministry. Well, guys, I think that this is such a project that is timely. Our community needs it. They need a model of somebody to do it in a way that can be duplicated, that they can do other things with it, that maybe we can hit another niche market with it at some point, with the same concept. I think that it's a time when certainly our city councils and stuff like that, our community needs some wins. They need to be able to say, when everybody's wagging a finger at them saying, you're not doing anything, you go, wait a minute, what are you talking about? We helped MissionView Village. We helped set this thing up, and look at how many people we were able to get off our streets, and out of the alleyways and out of our neighborhoods, parking, living in a car or whatever, or out of our parks, and into a place that's safe, that's secure, that's friendly, that's inviting, that's part of a community. And they feel loved on, they feel cared for, they feel a sense of worth. That's what we're hoping for with MissionView Village. Guys, I really appreciate you coming in here and visiting with me on this. Again, I think if somebody's listening to this and they're just like, man, I'd like to be a part of that, we are really, this month, next month, we are really trying to really activate what we're doing on this. We're really trying to ratchet up just public awareness on it. We'll be having some drawings, some drawings of what could be done on the property itself, and we'll have those to show maybe in the middle of December sometime. We're going to be just continuing to ask for your support. Remember, every gift that you give to MissionView Village will be doubled because of the generous donation matching grant that's been offered to us on this project. And we could get this done relatively quickly. It's still a pretty small project considering, the overall cost, considering what we can actually accomplish with this. And then to imagine that this is something that we can actually, once it's built, we could duplicate this. We could do it in other places in our community. We could do it maybe you're listening to this and you're not in Grants Pass, but you'd say, I'd like to have something like that in our community. I'd have a model that we could show you, that we could take to your city council and do something like that. So support us and help us with this. What a great way to make this project. I'd love to see us really, scratching the dirt pretty hard before the end of 2024, and I think we could do that with your help. So again, our web address is grantspassmission.org, and look for the MissionView Village tab and click on that. It'll tell you, we'll keep you updated as to where we are and all the progress we've been making, and again, we really need your support. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and thank you, Bobby and Monica, for sharing a few minutes with me in front of a camera. And check us out. Share this with a friend. Thank you again.